there was like a girl in America. I think it was. I probably stand to be corrected, but I think it was Target who had predicted her pregnancy before she knew she was pregnant, based on her buying habits. So it's like,
Well, they predicted a pandemic using like modeling, computer modeling,
oh, okay, right. What they
like for now, and then it happened,
Yeah.
and it's just like fucking hell.
But this is was that based on like previous data they had and seen like ways that things had progressed before, and then
Yeah, it
looked at
wasn't even a guess that there was going to be a pandemic. It was that there was going to be an event that was going to change business, and a couple of firms, investment firms, had actually moved money around in anticipation of something happening, and then it happened.
it's yeah.
I don't know how the hell that worked, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean, that's just a wacky
Well,
example,
well,
innit? Of like, they don't have to be listening to your
well, the way
conversation
that the
to know.
the way that the prediction of this girl's pregnancy in America, the way that they
'Cause she
predicted
always
that was they
fucked.
looked at her shopping habits, and subliminally she was buying certain things that it had recognised
Pregnant
that
women
people
buy
had bought.
When
And
they
found,
became
yeah, and
pregnant.
found a correlation in the data. These people
Fucking hell.
bought this stuff,
That's so clever.
and that was like a club card. I think it's like a club card scheme. You know how they recommend you things and they send you recommendations based on what you buy.
Vouchers and stuff. Yeah.
I think it was a similar scheme to that that they collected the data from, and then it recommended her that here's £10 off of a or dollars
Nappies.
off nappies and that. And she's like, well, why do I need that? Oh, well, because you were buying
'Cause
folic
your
acid.
ass.
Because you were having
'Cause tomorrow night.
right on time. But yeah, it is crazy. So like, even if you don't think that the data that's being collected now could be used for anything, like you know,
It could be used for anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, like you said, one, it doesn't have to be sinister. And I do want to be careful to
Get
not.
hyped.
Just the more sinister examples are just more fun.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Not, we're not saying that that's what's going to happen. It's just interesting how amazing the technology really is, and the things you really can do when you just put data into a computer,
Yeah.
and the modeling systems that they have now. And it is.
Well, you remember
it's-
I was doing the predictions. I stopped doing it because it was one like just from what.
Oh, what at the start?
Yeah,
Like,
you remember when I was doing it?
bang
I was
on,
getting
at
them all.
every point.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
A wizard.
Yeah, I was predicting the
I
number
like that
of.
egotistical yawn. Then
It
was me all along, boys.
No, I was predicting the number of new cases being reported.
Whilst the government was pretending not to know about an illness
Yeah, that
altogether,
was long.
you was here predicting the case numbers.
Do you remember? I think how many weeks? I think it was like, and this isn't like
That must have been end of Feb, start of March ish.
I think because it's what drove me to isolate early. I mean, we even got stick. Me and you got stick.
I know. From everybody in the whole world would have looked at us and gone pathetic.
Yeah, I know. I remember when because you said it from early about being safe, just to not take up a hospital bed, and it wasn't even the fact that you were saying that you were scared of dying from it. It was that you were saying like, look, don't just be safe not to take up hospital beds because they're going to be there are a shortage and we're going to need them.
Yeah.
If you think
we need them all the time.
if you think just me on an average laptop, MacBook, big up Apple.
Yeah.
No, but on an average laptop can predict and work out that with numbers of like how many new cases are going to come up a day, and then work it out for a few weeks. I mean, when I looked at it on like a long-term spread, that's what made me stop looking at it, because it ended up being quite depressing. Thinking, well, you can see the crap that's about to come, and it's just like I don't really want to. I wish I just didn't.
Throughout February and early March, I was sort of. I mean, even earlier than that, I was saying just get a little bit extra at shopping and that. Just like, do you know what I mean? Get prepared and that before everyone else finds out and panics, which obviously is what happened.
But if you think, if I can do that and could predict with the level of accuracy that I was each day,
think what a whole office of computers specifically set up for that purpose.
Yes, and AIs and a lot more complex systems can do. and are doing.
Well, this is it. AI requires data.
Yeah, it needs to learn.
to work, and so good, bad, evil, ugly, beautiful, good. We're gonna need data. We're gonna need to use data. We are gonna need to give data.
But that's the thing. If you look at like graphics cards, they're available for anyone to get, and there's a lot of this AI stuff and deep learning can be run on graphics cards on GPUs. I'll big him up, Sammy again. Like his PC is pretty powerful. Like he's got, I think,
bad man in the PC world.
I
Sammy.
think he was removing one of them last time I spoke to him, but I think he's probably got about 3 or 4 graphics cards in his computer. But
I've barely got one. Mine's not. You couldn't even call it a graphics card. It's just a thing.
my mate sent me a picture yesterday on WhatsApp. He was playing because just to go off on tangent quickly about that whole being greedy.
It's right. We've been doing it all day.
Being greedy with processing power. He's got he built his PC, a new one recently, and Minecraft is available in a Windows 10 version and a Java version and a standalone thing. So he downloaded the Windows 10 one, which I think runs in C++, and then the other one, which is its Java variant. And he had his 2 screens up, and he was playing 2 instances of Minecraft at once. So that's just greedy.
Just because you can.
I mean, it's not Minecraft's really it's not really an intensive, resource-intensive game. So
Yeah, loads of gamers watching this right now are scoffing like Minecraft. My little finger could run Minecraft.
Run it on a potato.
My potato could.
On a calculator. But going back to that whole thing about the technology being accessible, if it fell into the hands of criminals, this data, what could they do with it? That's why the integrity of it. I know you might think, oh, why do you care if someone knows that you're infected, or why do you care if someone knows this and that about me? Because to us as humans, there's only I'm not going to really.
It affects politics on a big level as well.
The main thing is as a human being, right? We're thinking about it too much as humans here. Like if I know your eye color, date of birth, where you grew up, and your favorite flavor of crisps,
ice cream,
or whatever, yeah.
Ice cream.
I can't predict that you're pregnant. You know, I'm a human being. My brain only works so fast and can only recognize patterns and trends in a certain amount of data.
And you only have your data set to compare it
to,
rather than a million.
And there's only so many that I can remember and process at once. Yeah. So we need to stop thinking about it in the way that we think about how humans would look at data. Because say like, oh, I'm a non-smoker, I'm below the age of 30, and I have brown eyes. You know, to me that's just arbitrary. There's nothing I can pick out of that. But if you've got lots of data, and you're doing that from a computer's perspective or an AI's perspective, there could be trends that it notices in data like that. Oh, this person that did that eventually ended up buying that. So shall we advertise that to them and see whether they buy that? They're more likely to buy that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things. It might look like this data, or you might not think that it's got any significance.
Well, I think another
combined with a lot more.
Yeah, exactly that. And with politics, it doesn't need a lot of data. And if you look at, I don't know, well, I'll put the picture up because I have got it saved, of the amount of adverts that ended up getting banned during the election. Over 5,000 adverts were banned for lying, essentially, from the Tory party. Okay, 0 from their closest competitor. Okay, so the party that won lied the most. If they know that you're a non-smoker, they can target you with an ad that says, on average, Labour voters are more likely to smoke. You're going to vote Tory. Something completely unrelated to the political noose, the policy, anything like that. Yeah. They can just target, because they know that most people aren't into politics, but what they are is scrolling on social media. So if you scroll on social media, you might not particularly like the Tories or the Lib Dems or Labour, but they could say everybody but the Greens does this, and you go, oh, I better use my vote next week then. I better vote for the Greens because I can't let these lot in.
Yeah.
And they did it with Corbyn. Corbyn's a terrorist. I don't know much about politics, but and do you know what I mean? My dad's a Labour man, but I can't let a terrorist in.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? It doesn't need to be true. It can be taken down, but all they need is one bit of information politically.
In that,
everything else, they do need a big database in that, but politically, all they need to know is one thing about you, and they can lie to you.
Well, mate, take that one step further and look at the whole Cambridge Analytica situation.
Well, this is it.
That's it. It's exactly that, targeting people. I mean, it still does happen. I think I did a couple of adverts recently for the businesses on Facebook. But you can do some really, like, in fact, I'll have a little look at it in a minute as well.
Oh, what? When you boost your audience?
Yeah, when you boost
stuff.
it, it's like...
yeah, you can target that
you
shit.
Can choose, so, like, you can choose people who are more likely to travel. You can choose people who have travelled in the last 6 months, things like that. You can choose people, so, for example, for what we do... And
that's just an ordinary... business.
Yeah.
Well, not an ordinary business, it's a wicked business. But you know what I mean, innit?
Yeah, but if
anyone can access that.
Yeah, anyone that is like, as I say, I wouldn't say that I'm anything different to anyone else. I'm just a regular person.
But we could target this at someone.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you've got access to all of the analytics.
Oh, we just targeted you.
We know who's watching.
Yeah.
No, but with all of them and that analytics data. I mean, Google did change, and Google have, whether it's through the fact of pressure from governments or whether they've done it off their own back, or whether they would have done it off their own back if it wasn't for pressure from governments. But a lot of their analytics API is restricted to, like, so as to go on the analytics now. I can only...
They give you a lot more freedom to choose what they take from you now.
Yeah, and I mean, even as a business, there's only so much that we can see. So if I go to audience, for example, I can't see demographics because that isn't in our privacy policy. I don't need to know who's browsing the website. The only thing I use it for is to know how many products have sold, so we can, make sure we've got that in stock, our most popular things, so that people aren't let down. And just like user experience of the website, which pages lead to which pages. If I know that people are trying to get to this page here, obviously we've got 2 active users right now though. That's quite cool.
Sick.
And you see a map of...
It's me and you.
No, you can see active users. You can see what pages they're browsing and things like that. Which is it all has to go in the. There's a couple of people looking at. That's quite cool. But I'm not going to say what they're looking at because that would be exposing the data, wouldn't it? You can see their location.
You are a good business owner. You are.
No, but
trustworthy.
Just see that how I'm building the trust.
Building the brand. He's building the brand.
I'm making it more trustworthy. No, but the way that we use it is knowing which pages people want to get to, so we can design the experience, a better experience for them. I don't need to know where you're from. Okay, maybe location data if I'm going to offer the website in another language. That's a legitimate.
Oh yeah,
reason
that's
for
market
it,
research, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're always going to have market research.
But what Google are quite good at, so if I was to go to audience, for example, and like an overview of my audience, I can't see anything here on demographics because it tells me that I need to enable this.
Pay more.
I need to enable it, and it will tell me their ages when it starts to collect that information about them, but only if I update my privacy policy to say that I'm collecting it. And in order to do that, I have to give a legal basis for why I'm collecting that information about you. Before you, when you click on that, I agree to the privacy policy and things. You're agreeing for them to collect your information under certain they're called legal bases or bases.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, base guy, you can fuck my bitch, race guy.
So you have to give
base side.
You have to be you have to give a reason for why you're collecting that information and how long you hold that information for. And what that information is needed for.
Ours was 6 months at my old job. That's how much we held the data for, and then we'd get rid of it unless they requested it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Something
six
like that.
6 months. I think it's until.
But that's we had paper documents
Okay, yeah.
that they'd sign and stuff, so it's a little bit different. Like,
But it comes down to
it's
like
a bit harder to get rid of that data safely.
well, yeah, you have to shred it all properly, don't you? And,
Yeah.
But that's it. That's it. It comes down to how and this is going to tie back into the app, by the way. This is going to come back in full circle. It comes down to how relevant the data is anymore. That's one of the things. Like, do you need to know what somebody bought from you 10 years ago? Do you really need that?
Yeah.
No. Get rid of that. Well, if you don't need it, get rid of it. If it's like, I don't know, some insurance document for a house 10 years ago or something like that.
yeah. Your mortgage.
Yeah.
5 years ago, fuck it.
But having that data there, even if you're not going to use it maliciously, having that in a database, and this is where it ties back to the whole thing, having that data there for so long means that in the future, if that is to get compromised, you've got all of this backlog of data, right, that you could then feed to an AI, which again, we've already said that in the worst case scenario, you could run on your computer. I was watching one the other day. Go watch on Computer File. It's a proper geeky channel. I love them. Number File and Computer File. Big up Tom Scott as well. But go watch them because they've got a system running. I think I can't remember how many video cards are in it. But anyway, they do like a thing of showing how they crack passwords in a database, and it's ridiculous. It's not something that's so out of the reach of us as people. You know, like we could between us, me and you could. Well, I think we could rustle
Shall
up.
we? Should we just fuck this off?
I think we could do a round and see whether we could rustle up enough to get one of these computers. But no, but we could afford something that could potentially do that stuff. So imagine this data. What happens to it? 5 years from now. What happens to the tools when the job is complete? This app, people aren't like. When was the last time you deleted an app from your phone? Like I've still got Live Score on my phone. There's no football on it at the minute. What's the point of me having that app there? All I can see is the games that would have been played and cry about it.
I only just clocked that I've been paying for Sky Sports this whole time. And I just went on there, 33 quid a month.
But that is the thing though, isn't it? It's like people will leave this on their devices. The data is going to be there for years after this is over. And when things go back to normal, one of the things people keep saying.
To be honest, I'd be very surprised if there wasn't some sort of part of the privacy,
policy,
whatever, is that their policy, that their privacy policy is going to say, well, we need to keep this data for any future outbreak.
Okay, yeah.
That's to me, that the first thing that I thought, as soon as you mentioned about the time aspect, I thought, they're just going to tell us that there might be another one.
Yeah.
And then people are just going to go, all right.
And then the legal basis is that they need to keep hold of that for a bit longer.
And it makes sense. It does make sense. So they'll get it, and people will buy into it. But
so that's one of the things to consider is the fact that there is stuff out there that and again, like, it's only going to become more accessible. This AI stuff is only going to become more accessible. The data's out there already.
The first person you give it to doesn't have to be the malicious user. It can change. The data can change hands. Like, data sets are bought by. We forget how many huge businesses there are out in the world that aren't the brands that we recognise, and they've all got they're paying companies for data. I mean, most of the people watching this may have probably watched the Cambridge Analytica stuff when it was happening. And on the topic of Cambridge Analytica, I've got a little passage here I'd like to read you and the audience, just to give you all a bit of context of who might be using this data, because it's not a total unknown as to who's been working on it. So,